So this video is a little different in that it's an encore presentation of an Instagram live event that was put on during Drone Safety Awareness Week. Now this was not only live on Instagram, but it was played on Instagram TV as well. So this was my first live event, so be kind. Now this event was limited to 3 representatives from the drone industry and 2 representatives from the FAA. And you guessed it, Keith from Alien Drones was one of the guests from the drone industry. The 2 representatives from the FAA were 1, Kevin, our favorite drone guy Morris, and 2, Administrator Steve Dixon. Yes, that Administrator Steve Dixon of the FAA. So we talked about the drone industry in general, where it came from, where we see it going, some of the rules, some of the regulations, some of the basic things we all talk about. So in case you missed it on Instagram Live, I thought I'd bring it here so you guys could enjoy it as well. Of course, when you're going through this and watching it, make sure you dump the comments below on what you thought or questions you might have. So speaking with Administrator Dixon and Kevin, our favorite drone guy Morris, was incredibly humbling to me, and I can never thank them enough for including me to represent the drone industry in such an event. So I hope you guys enjoy. Let's go.
If you're just joining us, we're setting up our live Instagram chat here today during National Drone Safety Awareness Week. I'll be adding our guests momentarily, so just stand by. We're just adding in our guests, so stand by everyone as we get everyone connected. All right, hey, this looks good. I think we've got everyone here. All right, so greetings everyone and welcome to our Instagram live chat during National Drone Safety Awareness Week. I'm Kevin Morris, the FAA drone guy and your host for this event. As you can see, we have some very special guests joining us here today. So I'd like to welcome FAA Administrator Steve Dixon, Keith, who's owner of Alien Drones, and Don Zoldi, the CEO of P3 Tech Consulting and president of UAS Colorado. Welcome, everyone.
Hey, great to be here.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. All right, thanks. It's great to see everyone. So I think we're going to start off. We have a limited amount of time, so let's get this going right away. So Steve, I'm going to ask you our first question here, and we're talking about drones for the entire half-hour segment here today. And I just want to ask, how exciting is this to see the evolution of drones in our aviation community?
Well, I mean, it's a great question, Kevin. And I think in so many ways, there are so many great things going on in the drone space right now. It really is, I think, the most exciting time in aerospace history, really. And drones are a big part of it. The drone community is the fastest growing segment of aviation. We've got something, approaching 900,000 registered drones in the U.S. and almost 250,000 certified remote pilots. So, those are huge numbers. They're more than we have for all of, manned aviation, and they continue to grow by leaps and bounds. So it very much is the future. I had an opportunity last week at the Commercial Drone Expo to see some of the great innovations in technology. The other thing is, I think from a perspective of our future aviation workforce and getting people interested in aviation and aerospace careers, there's just so many interesting things going on, and it's a great point of entry for the next generation of pilots and aviation professionals. There are lower costs to operating drones and getting qualified and being able to actually get out there and do things in the drone community than there are for manned aviation. But it can certainly be a bridge to being a pilot, in many different contexts. And my son actually has his own videography business and has a couple of drones. He's got a Part 107 license with my signature at the bottom of it. So, our family's right in the middle of it, and we're seeing all the excitement. So, and I think, along with just the aviation aspect, the technology and the applications that we see for things like infrastructure inspection, package delivery, environment, helping to fight wildfires, all these kind of, public safety. There's just so many great applications out there, and it really is exciting to see everything that's happening.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's really exciting for us here in the FAA, and I think it's just as exciting for folks who are out in industry doing this actual work or exploring the frontiers with drones. And so I think what I'll do is, Don and Keith, I think I'm going to throw the same question your way. So Keith, I'll throw it your way first. You know, how exciting is this for you, seeing how these drones are evolving in our aviation community?
Well, that's an awesome question, of course. But first, let me say thank you for having me on. I really do appreciate it. Really exciting to be here with people who share the passion for the drone industry. I really appreciate it. So your question, of course, it's incredibly exciting to see and be involved in the evolution of drones. For many years, I've been a photographer, and that's kind of how I started. And when the first camera drones came out, they were pretty much a novelty and were expensive for the average person. But in no time, they become inexpensive. And for just a couple $100, you can get a high-resolution picture, stabilized 4K video equipment. And it's so reliable and advanced that really many truly fly themselves. So this has lent itself to so many opportunities, like Administrator Dixon mentioned, like thermal imagery for search and rescue, things like inspections and geographical mapping for commercial applications or even natural disasters. So recently, again, I've seen people a half a dozen times now, people flying in drones themselves. So, I mean, that's how cool is that? So truly amazing how far things have come, of course, and what's still to come.
So to answer your question, I mean, it's so exciting to see what's happening. And, you know, this past year and a half have been really tough with COVID, but one thing that's positive that's come out of it is I think this great appreciation for drones, because really when you think of what's the ultimate social distancer, it's a drone. And you've been seeing these drones for good stories globally, you know, United States and all around the world, everything from drone deliveries of COVID-19 kits to, you know, healthcare, to deliveries of food to rural areas. I mean, so incredible to see what is happening. And then, of course, on the regulatory front, you know, kudos to the FAA, right? So we had a number of rules, very important rules that came out at the beginning of this year. And now with the Beyond Visual Line of Sight Advisory Rulemaking Committee, so much more on the horizon. I can't wait to see then what happens next.
Hey, you know, Kevin, if I could ask you, you know, what we're doing this week, you know, bringing the community together, I think is really important aspect of safety. Ultimately, we're the safety regulator, but we certainly want to allow this innovation and these capabilities that Don and Keith talk about to move forward. And critical really in any aspect of aviation. What's the FAA doing to ensure drone safety for everyone?
All right, well, I appreciate that question, Stephen. It's probably one question I should really get right here in this conversation. So I think there's quite a few different things that we're doing, as you know, Steve, that we're trying to get information out and provide the tools necessary with the recreational UAS safety test. Oh, are you guys still hearing me okay?
We got you now.
Okay, perfect. I might have had a glitch. So let me back up to that question. So one of the things that we're doing right away is the recreational UAS safety test. And that's a new project that we worked on in collaboration with industry, which was really exciting, developing a test that is online, it's free and available to any recreational flyer through our FAA approved test administrators. This provides them with the very basic information that they need to fly safely and within the constructs of our regulations. We also work every day with the FAA safety team and their volunteer workforce out there, which we call drone pros. And in most of the communities across the United States, there's going to be a drone pro representative. Now, drone pros are volunteers that take their time and passion and energy and help the drone community fly safely. So if you're interested in what events might be happening or where you can get more information on safe flying, your first step would be to visit our FAA safety team website and connect with one of your drone pros. Now, on the Part 107 side, we've been very busy as well. Under Part 107, we recently published some pretty significant rule changes, which allow greater flexibility for our commercial operators, while at the same time maintaining that level of safety that we've come to expect here in the FAA. One of those is the operating over people rule that we recently published, along with our requirements to fly at night. And what this did was not only maintain our level of safety, but made it more easy for folks to fly in those situations without having to go through a special waiver process with the FAA. And finally, I think one of the most important things we've done, at least one of the most well-received things we've done, was for those Part 107 pilots that need to establish their currency about every 2 years, we've made that recurrent training available online and for free. I think a lot of Part 107 pilots dreaded having to find a test facility, pay $150 or so to go take the test. Now they can do it from the comfort of their own home for free and establish currency for another couple of years. So we've been really busy, but I'm glad folks like Don and Keith are also on this call because we need their help in getting the word out on safe drone flying.
You know, Kevin, it's a great point. And I think another thing we could probably talk about, and this is something that's in progress right now, is the work that we have done up to this point has really laid the foundation for beyond visual line of sight in a scalable, way around the national airspace. And we have an aviation rulemaking committee. We've got over 90 industry participants in that that are giving recommendations to the agency on that rulemaking. And I know that we're really excited about that. That work should conclude in terms of the committee work right around Thanksgiving, I think. So there'll be a lot more happening here in the coming months and the coming year on beyond visual line of sight. For Keith, we require drones to be registered. And I know that you got quite a bit of experience with this. Can you share with everyone how you knew, whether your drone needed to be registered or not and what the registration process was like for you?
Oh, sure. Thanks for the question. So the first part, anytime I'm looking for this kind of information, I usually start with the FAA's website, which 99% of the time it's going to answer my registration questions. But sometimes, depending upon the mission, it might be something that's not quite so straightforward. I do some kind of odd stuff that maybe is kind of gray. And in those cases, I always reach out to the UAV Support Center. I found them to be very responsive. And usually they get back to me pretty quick, within a day or so. So it's been very helpful to me. And as to your second question about the process itself, it was pretty simple. I didn't know what it was going to be like, but went to the drone zone, created an account, filled in the details about myself and the drone, paid $5 and, got a number, stick it on the drone. You're good for 3 years. So pretty easy process.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Keith. And, so I'm going to switch this over to Don here. What are you sort of seeing in Colorado? I know you've done a lot of work with UAS Colorado, but the work that you're seeing, the activity you're seeing in the Colorado area, is it mainly recreational flyers or is it Part 107?
Flyers in Colorado. We have actually an amazing group here called the Central Colorado UAS Club, and they actually built a one-of-a-kind drone park in Blank. So that's pretty amazing. They also host an annual conference called the UAS Roundup. That's going to be on October 18th this year. But beyond that, Colorado is really an aerospace hub when you think about it. We have an amazing range out in the San Luis Valley. It's about it actually extends up to 15,000 feet MSL. And, any kind of terrain short of oceans, right? It's like everything is there. So it's a pretty good kept secret, but I want to get that word out because San Luis Valley Range is amazing. We have an incredible drone ecosystem too. Companies here, the usual suspects, right? Boeing, Lockheed. We've got on military bases here, the United States Air Force Academy, Peterson, Cheyenne Mountain, Schriever. But we also have a bunch of companies that recently came up to Denver, Pix4D, Wingtra, Flyability, and Numerica actually announced they're going to open a giant facility in Fort Collins. So, and last but not least, of course, you can't forget the academic institutions that are doing incredible research in the drone arena. Just University of Denver has Unmanned Systems Research Institute run by Dr. Kimon Valvanis, doing a great job. And CU Boulder has Smead Institute with Dr. Brian Argro. So tons of stuff happening with drones in Colorado. Super proud to be a part of it.
All right, that's great. And we've talked a little bit about recreational flying and Part 107 here. So Keith, I'll throw this question your way. Do you do mostly recreational flying or do you do Part 107? Like how do you make that determination of what rule set you're going to fly under that day?
Sure. Yeah, I do split my time kind of between both. It really just depends upon the drone and the mission, really, of the day. but I'm probably biased a little bit more towards the 107 side. Usually the flight itself will determine if I need to fly under Part 107. I was once told by someone from the FAA that, quote, an advanced mission requires an advanced certificate. So I always keep that in mind. So in this case, the mission itself will define if it needs to be a Part 107 or not. For instance, like flying at night in a controlled airspace right now, you can't do recreationally. So I'd have to fly 107 if I want to do that mission. So, and for the times when the mission doesn't require it, sometimes you simply want to have some fun. You want to go out with friends and you don't want to worry about documenting your flight and do logging and doing all the inspections and things that are kind of in the 107 world. So flying recreationally sometimes just keeps it a bit more spontaneous too. So when I get the opportunity to do that, I do it as well.
All right, great. And so I know you've got to get going here, Keith, but I do have one more question I'd like to ask you. And we touched on this a little bit earlier about the recreational UAS safety test. And although you just mentioned you fly mostly under Part 107, let me see if I could put you on the spot a little bit. And have you taken the trust? And if you did, what'd you think of it?
Oh, of course. Yeah, I took that right away when it was hours. I was sitting there before it was even posted, waiting for it to get posted. And being a 107 pilot and taking the initial test for that, of course, the rumors were out there that the trust test was going to be like the 107. It was going to be hard and it was going to be made to keep recreational pilots from entering the industry, So that's why I wanted to take it myself so that I could help people understand it as well. And so I found it to be educational and the most common sense for the most part. And it just took a couple of minutes. I immediately then shared a video about it on my channel. So those who were not sure what to expect could be reassured that it was easy and worthwhile. And it actually created kind of an organic contest in the comments to see who completed it the quickest as well.
All right, great. Well, I appreciate it. And like I said, Keith, I know you're a really, really busy guy. You've mentioned your Alien Drones YouTube channel, which is a great resource. I've been fortunate enough to be on a couple of times and had you interview me, so that was really fun and exciting. So thank you for all the work you're doing and helping people understand what the rules are, the safety tips, things that they can do to make sure they have safe and they have a lot of fun flying drones. So Keith, I really appreciate your time today and thank you so much for all your work.
Oh, thank you very much. Pleasure's all mine.
All right, thanks, Keith. And with Keith departing, we're going to have one more spot available. So we have another guest I'd like to bring on. So if you give me just a minute here, I'm going to tap a couple things on my screen and bring in our next special guest.
And while Kevin's doing that, I do want to give a shout out. We actually had Patricia Mathis from your FAST team on the Dawn of Drones podcast this morning. So if y'all missed that, go back and watch it. It's on Drone Life. She was spectacular.
Yeah, thanks, Don. I appreciate that. And well, here's our next special guest. Big surprise to everyone, but well known across the globe. Eno Umo, who is the co-founder of Global Air Drone Academy, joins us. Welcome, Eno.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so great to be here with you all.
All right, well, there's no pressure, but you're on the call with Administrator Steve Dixon.
Nice to see you again, sir. How's everything?
Doing great. Thanks for joining us, Eno. Let me start, and I'm going to ask Dawn actually to comment on this first, and then Eno, I'd like to get your perspective. Dawn, you're involved in a variety of drone communities, UAS Colorado and Women in Drones, a couple of examples. How important is it for someone that's just getting into drones to get involved with a drone organization or community? What's the first step that the person should take when looking to find a drone community to become part of and to work with? So, Dawn, if you would, I'd be interested in your comments on that, and then Eno.
We momentarily had a connection interruption with Dawn. Maybe she'll be back here shortly.
So, a little bit of technical glitches here, probably.
Well, as we continue with our technical glitches, I think, Steve, this is how we know it's a live event.
That's right.
Maybe Steve, we'll throw that question over to Eno while Don's connection gets reestablished.
Sure. So yes, from a community perspective, it's so important, first of all, to do your research before you even touch the drone. Of course, safety is paramount. But I will say that the drone industry is very welcoming whether you are, hobby side or you're a professional, everyone wants to see this industry succeed. There are so many reasons and so many instances where, we can have accidents or something can go bad, but that is why we are such a tight-knit, community. So anyone who wants to enter, to get into the drone space, you just have to reach out, to your partners, to a colleague, to any community organization that is in your state, in your city. And I can guarantee that the arms, will welcome you in, because at the end of the day, we need to fly safe. We need to, communicate with each other. And it's only, through that community engagement that we will continue to push this industry forward.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Dawn, are you back on?
Well, we're in the continuous buffering mode here with Don, but Ano, that might be good for you, because that means you get all the rest of the questions here as we work with Don's connection.
No worries at all.
All right, so I've got a question for you here as Don's getting connected again. How do you see drones? We're talking about communities and education, and how do you see drones changing that landscape for STEM?
Sure. So quite naturally, drones are involved in each area of STEM. And of course, nowadays we actually say STEAM to include the arts as well. So, when you're teaching students about this technology, it's important that they understand how drones actually relate to those specific areas. So in our, curriculum, in our after school and summer camps that we do, we, ask kids and we teach them, how are drones used for scientific, purposes, for medical aid, delivery, even for, the agriculture, side of things, technology, engineering, when it comes to the actual assembly, of drones, even with the arts. I mean, we've now seen the rise of drone light shows, which are now slowly taking over, for fireworks, and quite naturally, using drones for math lessons, as well. So using drones as sort of like that fun tool, using it as a gateway to, bring these students in. It's a perfect way to keep those students engaged. And at the end of the day, we want students to pursue careers in, STEAM concepts.
That's a great point, I was mentioned earlier, I think before you came on, that I had a chance. I was at the Commercial Drone Expo last week, and a number of universities have, a lot of them have existing flight programs, and then they've added drones to that. But, in this case, when we're talking about schools that are looking to incorporate drones into their curricula, can you talk about that and what some of the benefits would be to them?
Definitely. So, at the end of the day, this is an emerging, industry. It is a very innovative, technology. So anything that involves, pushing students to create, answers for some of the world's, problems that we have to be thinking outside of the box. So drones actually provide that perfect tool. That's something that we are still developing and exploring. And we've had so many examples of how drones are literally saving lives, here in the States and in many countries across the world. So if we're able to, capture that imagination, capture those ideas that some of these young students have, brilliant ideas about how drones can be used to help everyday lives. That is the crux of it. Again, when we often say that it's bigger than drones, and we feel like the skills that you learn while learning about drones can help you in many different ways. So everything from 3D printing to coding and programming, even the entrepreneurship. These are all very skillful areas that students, quite naturally latch onto, and it can help develop them for years to come. So if it involves STEM, it's definitely the way to go. And there's all different type of ways that drones can help teach that.
Oh, that's great stuff. I know I really appreciate your leadership and your perspective because, you make the point that, drones are a vehicle to so many good things. And that's what we need to get the public to understand and a way to really advance technology and certainly bring a lot of our young people into aviation aerospace career.
Yeah, absolutely. Both great points. I appreciate that, which kind of leads me to another question. We're talking about young people, and I'm going to say it right this time, STEAM, although I'll have to reach out to my child's school and let them know they might need to change what they have written on the wall there. But when we talk about young people and getting in, and this really doesn't even matter for drones, but we're going to stay focused on drones. When they get into aviation, generally they start because it's very interesting. They love it. And I think the recreational drone community is the perfect gateway into the aviation community in general, and specifically for drones. So, from your perspective and the work that you've done, how do you see recreational drone flying fitting into the future of aviation?
Yeah, as you said, it's the perfect segue to having these students think about drones on a professional level. Even today, we're in late, 2021. If you ask maybe the average student that hasn't heard about drones, maybe they think, they take nice pictures and nice video. But when you get into some of the activities like FPV drone racing, even now we have started to assemble a drone soccer league as well. We're partnering with the U.S. Drone Soccer Association. So these are very, very fun activities that, again, boost that engagement, really get kids involved in the fun aspect. But once you get them in there, they're able to learn the vast, areas that drones, can go into. So, I would definitely recommend starting there on the recreational level. There are so many, leagues and teams that are popping up. And if there's not one in your area, maybe that's your chance to start one, to start a league and to start a, community-based organization that just generally preaches, again, that safety aspect and really how to use drones to help, people at the end of the day.
That's really cool and really exciting. And I know drones are so unique, especially with our younger generation of future aviators, because they incorporate not only aviation, lift, thrust, weight, drag, but you're talking about technology and programming and all these things that our future generations of this country and this planet are going to have to be involved in. And drones seem to really tie all of that together. So it's really exciting to see the work that you're doing with that, because I think it's a really neat thing.
Thank you so much. And one thing we say is we're trying to prepare these youth for the jobs that haven't even been created yet, and again, drones are the perfect way to do that. So I would encourage every, elementary, middle, high school to really take a serious look at how to incorporate drone technology into your curriculum, how to get these students licensed. At this point, you only have to be 16 years old to receive your Part 107 license. So before you even graduate high school, you could be a commercial, licensed drone pilot. So it's pretty amazing stuff. And so thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ano. And I think before we wrap it up, Steve, I'm going to throw it your way. Any last comments for our attendees watching here today on drones and what we're really doing, how exciting this is?
No, like I said, it's one of the most exciting periods I think that we have seen in technology and really opportunities for the next generation in particular, but really for all of us. It's really cool to see the creativity and the applications of these machines and how they can really benefit society. So it's really important that we move forward together. It is a team sport. So the FAA has to work with the manufacturers, the operators, the academic community, important leaders, like we've had on the call here today. But they're just tremendous opportunities for the country and for all of our people. So we'll just stay at it.
Yeah, very, very exciting. So I tell you what, 30 minutes goes by really quick when we're talking about drones. And we're really, when you get anybody in aviation together on the same call, time just happens to fly. So unfortunately, that's about all the time we have here for today. I do want to thank Administrator Steve, Dawn, Ano, Keith for joining us here on this call. All the work that we're doing here is fantastic. And I know we're all super busy, so I really appreciate your time. But I just want to say, this doesn't mean it's the end of Drone Safety Awareness Week. There are events happening all afternoon and into the evening, including our Droning On After Dark series that we're running this week. It's really neat and exciting stuff. Be sure to follow the FAA Drone Zone social media accounts on Twitter and Facebook for all the latest drone safety information. So this is the FAA Drone Guy reminding you to fly safe and have a great rest of your day. Take care, everyone.
See ya.
See you, everybody.